Hey guys, Jet888 here. It's May 29th. What's in your water, part 1. I wanted to follow up on that because in this, I remember I said look for the guitar, and I was talking about some of the symbolism because I was discussing what I thought was behind that gray Google that I saw 2 days ago. On Memorial Day, I just thought it was really strange that they had it gray. So anyhow, I'm looking at the Google today and they're showing this. So let's look into this real quick. It's going to add up a little bit. It's also going to include the water information. Okay, so first right off we see here they're talking about the double cicada brood. Those are those things that are hatching. So they're talking about cicadas. Cicadas are a super family of insects. And they look like this, and isn't that funny that we get a little plate of cicadas there, if you'd like. Georgetown University sharing that. So here's your cicadas, and I think they stay for 10 years or something before they hatch, but now there's 2 groups that are hatching all at the same time. Anyhow, if you don't like bugs, sorry. But they want us to eat them, so if you're starving by any chance. But I don't think the chitin in these bugs is not healthy at all for humans. It's actually toxic. The chitin, that's that hard shell on insects, so don't eat them. But this does say that cicadas, they're not dangerous and can provide some environmental benefits, including they're a valuable food source for birds and other predators. And it says cicadas can aerate lawns and improve water filtration in the ground. So there's our water. And here's our number 17. So what happens every 17 years with cicadas? So they're 17, here's your number. So they say that cicadas stay for 17 years in the ground. That's what they say. You can do more research on these guys if you want. So they're showing the little cicadas here in a rock band group, and there's your guitars, a lot of your guitars. I covered that in the part 1 of the What's in Your Water. And here are just some of the words associated with the guitars. I think the word is guitar, though, not guitars. It's one, singular. Silence is golden, Freemasons, Mexico, big changes are coming, death to America, plumber, kind of deals with your water, Titanic, BioNTech, BlackRock, revenge, Disney, 19, that's your 19 is also AI, and the word vaccines. So anyhow, those are just some of the associations with the word guitar. You got little mountain ranges in the back. You've got little doodads flying all over the place. If you believe in the word virus or the existence of, that could kind of connotate that little subconscious idea in your head that there's all these little bugs, virus things flying around. And then in the background there, see the little drum, the little turquoise teal looking drum? That thing, doesn't it look like a little face with a little sad face? And remember the last 4 years, the word sad, sudden adult death, remember that one? So they just love your number 17 and 13. So when I looked at, here's your number 607 at top, that's Jeb. And then Jeb is 102, so that reminded me of Event 201. So that's kind of a symbolic combination there. And then 17. So when I reduce that 607, it's a 13. So we've got the 13, the 102, flip it around, that's 201, like Event 201, the last 4 years, the whole pandemic exercise, the tabletop thing, and Jeb. So this says who is Jebediah in the Bible, but they also use as kind of like a short, the word Jeb. So it says, she was a strong, ruthless, and immoral queen of Israel. Huh. Okay. And this is sort of one way I've looked at the word Israel lately. If you look at the anagram, it's serial as in killer. So when I was looking at the word gray Google, one of the similar gematria words for it, the numerical equivalent, because they both had the number 631, Jewish gematria. The word was Clash of the Titans, but when I looked at the anagram for Clash of the Titans, which I covered in the first video, the anagram is, what I found is tech in fatal shots. Also the word spray and also the word peace symbol also had the last two gematria was 696 and 116, which I talked about. Also, when you flip that upside down backwards, it's 911. So there's your peace symbol. So remember this. When I saw the numbers, the 13 and 17, by the way, when you spell it out, 17 equals NWO, which is New World Order. So looking at that word Jeb also, with the 13 and 17, 13 being reduced, you look at other equivalent numerical values, and there you got the grayscale. Grayscale is also, there's your 19. See that? 1991, flip it upside down. 19 is AI. So you've got the grayscale, which may be what they were trying to show on Memorial Day. There's a grayscale right there. Google, remember? So we've got that controlling the all-seeing eye. Israel, it looks like Israel. Horrendous, Jeb, and FBI, which is Fib. The secret plans is also the same numerical value. And MK Ultra Lilith. Lilith is who the dark people, the dark side is trying to change from Eve. They're trying to make her name Lilith. They're trying to change history. And there's your Saturn machine. So anyone who knows astrology also knows a little bit more about the Saturn and the connection with all of this. So during my What's in Your Water series, part 1 and 2, I did refer to the church committee hearing meetings regarding the toxic agents. And in this, I'm going to read this to you. It's going to be difficult because the way the type is kind of weird, but this is on one of their letters on page 243. And it says, from limited consultation with design engineers, it should be possible to develop simple guidelines for planning an attack on a group of people that work in a building constructed with a circulating chilled drinking water system. The guidelines would indicate how much pathogenic agent and how much sodium thiosulfate. So we're going to look into that later. Sodium thiosulfate to use in a specific building. Easy to get information in 4 categories is all the saboteur needs. Number 1, number of fountains in the building. Number 2 is approximate total floor area and type of activity. Number 3, approximate number of employees. And number 4, available chlorine content of water supply at the time of attack. That's because if there's a lot of chlorine, it could possibly kill pathogens or whatever. But so it says also weather and climate in a target area may need to be considered in a specific situation. And this is, I put a little note. I said, is this why we're seeing so many stack and packs? You know, all those buildings that they want to shove all these people into. For instance, like this. So, I mean, how easy would that be? They call them stack modular. So how easy would that be to infiltrate the water system? Just like that, just wipe them all out in one fell swoop. I looked into the word sodium thiosulfate. So this says sodium thiosulfate is an inorganic sodium salt composed of sodium and thiosulfate ions in a 2:1 ratio. There's your 2:1, you put a 0 in there. Anyhow, it has a role of an antidote to cyanide poisoning, that would be good, a nephroprotective agent, and an antifungal drug. It contains thiosulfate to whatever. But the thiosulfate, and you can look this word up, a combining form meaning sulfur used all or in part of which all oxygen atoms have been replaced by sulfur. So how is that if you don't have any more oxygen, instead you have sulfur? How's that going to work for you? Not very good. But looking at this thiosulfate, it's sodium thiosulfate. So sodium is salt, and we're salt of the earth, right? We're the salt of the earth. There's also those cell salts, which we have lots of minerals we need, but so you have the sodium, which is salt, and then sulfate. Sulfate, it's sulfate. So see how that's kind of interesting, how the fate of your soul is going to be replaced by sulfur. And I thought it was really interesting because a couple days ago, one of you guys mentioned that when you drive by, the water tastes like sulfur, is what I've heard. It was an interesting comment, but now it seems to kind of make a little bit more sense. And it says, what are the dangers of sodium thiosulfate, sulfur dioxide gas, hydrogen sulfide gas, and sodium sulfide residue? Potential health hazards, acute effects of exposure, skin, dust solutions, or mist. Remember that word? There was the mist. The other day when I was looking at the anagram. Did I share that part with you? I think I did. So it says, or the mist may cause skin irritation from repeated or prolonged contact. Eyes, the dust solutions or mist may irritate or burn the eyes and cause temporary conjunctivitis. But this is one of my, this was what I thought was interesting regarding the sodium thiosulfate. The numerology, the English and simple gematria, 1302 and 217, is mass injection event and mission impossible. But also look at this with sodium thiosulfate. You see that peace symbol? That's the chemical compound. That's what it looks like. This definitely isn't a chemical lesson, but it's disodium, disulfur, and ozone. Ozone's actually a good thing. But there's your peace symbol. See? Sodium thiosulfate injection. Huh. So here's your sodium thiosulfate. Looks like a peace sign. And the peace symbol, looking at the numerology, peace symbol 666, 696, and 116. When you look at the 116, you turn that upside down, backwards, that's 911. 666, I think a lot of us know what that symbol is. But also when you look at the 696 numerology, look at this kind of weird thing. So if we look at this, it looks like balance, like the yin and yang. We kind of see this as life's balance, because everything in life is all about balance. But when I see the number 696, 696, it's 69 with a 6 thrown in. And the anagram for 6, it's is X. Is X. So look at some of the gematria for 6, S-I-X. It's murder. 6 is 399, electronic bomb. And 6 is also NWO, New World Order. So that's kind of weird to me. So when you have that yin and yang, there's your 6-9, then you add that other 6. That other 6 is like chaos. It's like a New World Order. Because that's what 6 is equivalent to, numerically, like the frequency is. I know this is kind of going off topic a little bit, but I just think it's kind of strange. Electronic bomb. So our little Google show, I mean, literally those bugs look like they're dancing in front of ice mountains. So there's your frozen water. You got your little sad face, your sudden adult death. You got your 13 and 17 numerology there. And it looks like they're dancing on a little pile of poop with all your little microbe things flowing all over the place, which there's... Do you know the anagram for the word contagion? That's what I found to be just one possibility of an anagram for the word contagion. It's in Octagon, because they always want you fighting. They always want you kind of in that fight mode. You know, getting that cortisol raised up for you so you can't think, because you're easier to mind control when you've got cortisol running through your system. That's your adrenaline. In Octagon. So, and again, here's your Mission Impossible. When I looked at the anagram for that, that's one of the equivalents, numerical equivalents to sodium thiosulfate, which is one of the toxic agents that they were talking about injecting into a drinking water system for multi-story buildings. When I looked at Mission Impossible's anagram, and there are many, but I saw the mobilize miss sin op, and I'm back to the word Jeb. That's strong, ruthless, and immoral queen of Israel. So those little numbers that they put on for 13 and 17, and I just look at the gematria for 13 and 17, you know, because I reduced the number here. Where is it? Sorry. Yeah, for Jeb, there's 13, 102, and 17. And looking at the anagram for Mission Impossible, which is connected to sodium thiosulfate, and you've got the words MK Ultra Lilith. MK Ultra is when it's like a mind control thing through drugs. And there's Lilith that they want to change from Eve to Lilith. And there's your secret plans. I don't know, it just all seems like it kind of adds up a little bit. And just one more thing, so regarding the sodium thiosulfate, there's your peace symbol. And when I look about sodium thiosulfate and the compounds, so look at this. It says the compound is a reducing agent and a ligand, and these properties underpin its application. So there's your word ligand, and remember in my part 1 of what's in your water regarding Memorial Day and stuff, and one of the flowers for Memorial Day is red poppy, because red poppies grew on the graves of these soldiers, the dead soldiers. And here's the opioid ligand. Looks like, I thought it looked like an eagle. I showed that in the first video. It's kind of weird, huh? So again, you know how they incorporate this Google and this illustration, which the other day for Memorial Day they didn't have anything. It was gray, which started my whole thing. And there's your 13 and the 17, and again looking at 17, you look at the bottom in the simple gematria, there's your 109, and there again take that 0 out and you've got the 19. It's a big number lately. 19 is also AI, so there's your 17, and there's your 17, which is now, which is also NWO. 17 and reduction also have similar English and simple gematria. It's also cyber attack. And we're right back to the whole cybersecurity, drinking water systems to address cybersecurity vulnerabilities that the EPA put out, and the church committee hearings that were covered a long time ago, talking about the poisoning of our water systems. So the pathogenic agent could be shellfish, it could be all kinds of things, cyanide, all kinds of stuff that they talk about in this church committee hearing meetings. And when they talk about weather and climate in the target area may need to be considered in a specific situation, when I looked at the anagram for climate change, which is a word that we've been seeing a lot lately, the anagram, one of them, is chemical agent. So isn't that interesting? So that little otter for today's little Microsoft heads up thing is, it shows a little otter with a shellfish in its lap. You'll see that later. Looking into today's little image we have here, we've got the otter holding a shellfish. Remember all those toxins? I've showed a lot of times regarding the storage of toxic agents, and they talk about shellfish quite a bit. You'll see how prevalent the word shellfish is in this toxic. So they obviously use it as a strong toxic agent. Every single time you see a little blue line there in this document, that's how many times the word shellfish has been used. So just to let you know. So today when they show this little smiling otter, there's your smile, create AI images for the world. Otter Day, it's World Otter Day, and there's your bird. Real quick breakdown, Otter Day is also Troy date. You know what Troy is, the Trojan horse. Just looking real quick, I see the word warlord in there, and there's also what is it? Also DOT. The DOT is Department of Transportation. So they're talking about stormwater management program. Anyhow, Caltrans is the Department of Transportation. So that .ca.gov, it's interesting because DOT is also National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System, so they do participate in the pollutants in water. So it's kind of strange. World Otter Day is Watery Lord, DOT, Department of Transportation. And Otter Day, Troy date, as he's holding the shellfish and also the bird. They'll also kind of classify, here's a classification of drones and birds using convolutional neural networks. There's your CNN, convolutional neural networks applied to radar micro Doppler spectrogram images. This is sort of interesting. It talks about Google Net architecture. And this whole thing is just about how they can, on radar, how they can decipher between what a bird is and what a drone is. So it's just sort of an interesting thing, but the words or letters CNN and Google Net are part of this. So it shows about how they can look and distinguish between false targets and distinct targets with using the radar signature. It's really kind of interesting, but it also tells you how they can really target you too. I talk about the CNN model. So do you think this whole time CNN is just sort of weird? So convolutional neural network is CNN. This is regarding today's little Google image. On Memorial Day, they just had an all gray image. That's why I covered that Memorial Day. I called it Gray Google. So here's May 29th, today. And you look at this, it's when you touch on the information, it's double cicada brood. And I look at the anagram for that, double cicada brood, and a bad bloodied occur, or a bad blood dye occur, and I do DC barcode labor, like FEMA's in our future or something. Double cicada brood is at 488 is your Jewish gematria. It's also gray. It's also 1919. 19 equals AI. You know, I wanted to make this video short, but I'm having a hard time doing it because when I looked at the CNN, there's your CNN. Another saying for CNN, I always think of, you know, the mainstream media, but this is convolutional neural network is CNN, and this shows a typical convolutional neural network. And here's your Tweety bird. Isn't that interesting? So there's your Tweety bird. I'm going to show a little bit more about this quickly, hopefully. So why would they show Tweety in this neural network? And what does that have to do with the Google image today? So the numerology with CNN is also MOAB, you know, like mother of all bombs. I had to move that over. I know I'm really sloppy with my presentation. I apologize for that. But here we go. So CNN is also the same as MOAB. So it's got like the same frequencies. The words are the same frequency. So look at number 83. And look at what cicada code is also 83. And what did we see this morning or today on Google? They show this. This says double cicada brood. So when I looked at the anagram, the anagram for double cicada brood, and I went and looked at some of the Tweety and Sylvester. So here's one little thing with him in the water with a pond. It looks like if you're a little bird, you probably wouldn't want to be in that position. Eyes closed, not seeing what's coming. Now he did see. Now he's splashing in the water. Here's another Tweety. He's got a guitar. Look at that. And he just said, I tie, putty cat. And then he looks out the window and he sees Sylvester kind of drowning in the water. He just went through the bottom of this guy's boat. And this guy, when have you ever seen a person in the Tweety and Sylvester, what's this guy's name? Tweety compilation. And it shows the guy sinking because his boat's got a big hole in it. And now he's up to his neck in water with one eye looking at us. And isn't that sort of interesting? The putty tat, because we've seen a lot of 666 and 111s in this video. And putty tat at 869 is also 911. But English and simple at 666 and 111. Again, we've got the vaccination, mark of beast, a COVID vaccine, the head or hand. I think you get my message here. That 666 and 111 just doesn't stop. This 666 and 111, the burnt hair, that was also on Elon Musk, the Boring Company. He had that. I've shown that many times on his the Boring Company's webpage. But they use the word kernel, showing Tweety, kernel. The similar numerology for kernel at 156 is kings, scene, one god, and metal. Tweety, some of the similar gematria at 522 and 87 is Bill Gates, an architect. And you know how Elon Musk changed the word, the Twitter to X? So you go from Twitter to X. So 6 is X, and X equals peaceful, contagion, crickets, massacre, and sad, and they have the common 300. Regarding this convolutional neural network, CNN, you got Tweety here. You got all this information going here. This is just this graphic I'm showing. Now notice the thing with the blue and the laser looking things right here and the dots. You got Donald, you got Goofy, and you've got Tweety. So this I want to show you. Remember the Super Bowl? Remember the halftime show with Usher? I've shown this before. When I first saw the show, the lasers had the Baphomet heads, and look in the background. It's kind of hard to get this picture, but the lasers crossed over and they made this same type of image. And I thought it was really strange. And what I also noticed, here's another picture of it, but what I noticed was how similar and strange this kind of design reminded me of what we saw with that cargo ship and the Francis Scott Key Bridge. And remember Francis Scott Key, they named the bridge after him because he is the one that sang our national anthem. So it's very symbolic that this bridge comes crashing down when America is being taken down as well. Kind of going down with the ship, and Tweety, looks like Tweety's at the helm here. But this is interesting. I don't completely 100% know about this, but the convolutional neural network. But also they show the Donald, Goofy, and Tweety. And remember with the whole climate change thing? Notice how Alaska Airlines does the Disney thing. There you got Donald. There's those Disney characters, but there's Donald, and there's your climate change, which is also chemical agent, which is what they're saying that's probably going to happen in the water somehow. And you got the get mechanical, so we saw the word metal. Technical game, we've seen the word IT. There's latch me in a cage, we've seen Tweety in a cage. And clinch meta age, I don't know. That's the serve meat. The meta verse is serve meat. So you've got the MOAB, CNN, and the cicada code. So we've got our birds, which I think that could be like drones up in the sky doing surveillance. And we've got our little happy otter with the poisoning of the shellfish. But and you've got the mention of the AI images. And when you look at the word cicada, it could also be icy DACA. That's a whole nother thing about, you know, the flooding in of people to our country. But when I reduce the word cicada, it's the icy DACA, same thing. It ends up being 393. And 393 is reprogrammed. And again, you know, I mentioned the 666 and 111 here. So reprogram. So is this a whole AI thing? I think it is. And you know, with the whole Musk, the neural network stuff he's got, well, they are changing this typical neural network here. This is interesting because it's basically teaching learning on how to decipher shapes and more detailed images, more refined kind of learning. Here's just one image of that transfer learning, they call it. So on the left, new data, pre-trained CNN, new task, and then it could decipher between the fact that if it's a car or a truck. So you know this is all about AI, convolutional neural network. So it's basically just teaching it how to see better, basically how to hunt you down better is what I'm thinking. Sorry, I'm being so cynical. Or is it sinister? I don't know, it's hard not to be in this day and age. But you know, every time that little computer thing comes on, it asks you to, you know, pick out a crosswalk or a fire hydrant or a motorcycle or a bus. You were actually helping the AI learn. Every time you pointed to a correct image, we were all being used to help AI learn better. Just to let you know. They're all in it together. But don't let it bug you.